cousin of Carmel Gat, one of the hostages found murdered overnight. Maayan, thank you very much for joining us, and our condolences to you today.
Thank you.
I can only imagine what's going through your mind and how you're feeling right now. Where were you when you heard the news?
With the family. Actually, it started very bad. We were eating lunch in a restaurant, and then suddenly I started receiving so many phone calls and messages. Is it true? Is it true? And I didn't even know what they're talking about. And then I had a phone call that they were asking me if I saw the telegram or something. And I said, we didn't hear anything. Nobody knows anything. Let me call my family, my cousins. And I talked to Alon. Alon is Carmel's brother. And they were all, actually, when I called Israel, they were all in the rally, like every Saturday in Israel. And they all of them said they don't even know what I'm talking about the rumors. About 30 minutes, an hour after I talked to them, the IDF said that, yes, it was true. But to find out like this, I broke down. I didn't know how to react because I didn't hear it in any official news channel yet, anywhere.
I can only imagine how shocking that must have been, because you've held out hope all this time.
The hope was real. It wasn't just saying we have hope. We knew that she can be home on her feet the same way she was kidnapped on her feet. And it's proven she was on her feet until 2 weeks ago, when Hamas just decided suddenly, after horrific 300 or more than 300 horrific nightmare days, you know, that they're all been through, to just not only murder them, but brutally murder them, and then leave their bodies in the tunnel.
Now, Hamas has...
All they needed to do is set them free. That's all they needed to do.
Hamas is saying that they would be alive if it weren't for the Israeli government, if the government had agreed to the ceasefire that they said they had said yes to. Who do you think is to blame for this? Is it the Israeli government or is it Hamas?
Both. I see it as two evil pharaohs. You see what my shirt says? Let my people go. And this saying is not from now. This saying is when Moses came to Pharaoh and told him that God said, let our people go. All he had to do is let our people go, and everything could be avoided. All the other side needed to do is just say yes to whatever was offered, because human life, civilian life, are not politics, and they're not portrayed. You cannot have any good consequences from since October 7. Doesn't matter what you will do, it's a lose-lose situation. But he could have choose the less worse consequences if he just agreed from the beginning. Because fighting war can start and be anytime. The timeline that we have to bring people alive back home from captivity is not whenever you want. They're dying there. If they either dying from starvation, from not having their medication, from their wounds, like Romy Gonen, still so wounded from the Nova Festival in her hand. So many other people that have been shot.
Are Israelis ready for some kind of a ceasefire deal? Do they want the Prime Minister to agree to something?
I'm going to say it like this. Israelis want a deal. We have been wanting a deal since the beginning. Anything. Once it became politics, everything was set aside. And everybody started to only care and talk about elections and how it's going to affect them. That's how we see it. Like I said, it's a lose-lose situation. There is no right and wrong in a circumstances that you cannot even compare it to anything that anybody have experienced in our life, in the last 75 years since the Holocaust.
Now, you've gone through, many Israelis and many Jewish people have gone through a horrific tragedy with this. You lost your aunt as well. There's still up to 100 people almost being held hostage.
101.
101, thank you. What will it take to bring them home?
Either the IDF going to continue be our savior and find them from any information they get, or the government will say yes to a deal, and Yahya Sinwar will say yes to the deal. There's no other option. The only other option is to ignore whatever is going on right now and to do something even more horrific and to wipe out Gaza. But nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Again, I've been saying it every interview, every rally, every time I've been speaking to people. All of this could have been avoided. It can still be avoided if only our people come home. Israel does not want a war. We do not want to send our brothers and sisters to die, and definitely not to go and kill. Our military is there to protect, not to attack. I have no words. I don't know how I got to this place. Almost a year I've been saying I want to go back to my anonymity. I wish it never happened. They took two beautiful women that did nothing wrong to anybody in their life. Kinneret, my aunt, helped all the time to bring sick people from Gaza to Israel. They gave them in the kibbutz, they gave them jobs. She went every Saturday to Kaplan in Tel Aviv and fought for two countries, for our two nations. She believed that peace can happen, that they can live in coexistence. And she was brutally murdered. My cousin Carmel, such a loving human being. She's an occupational therapist. She's a yoga master. You all know the story, that she took care of the kidnapped, the children. She did yoga with them when they were in the tunnels. She created diaries with them so they will know what day it is and what they're going through. She practiced mindfulness with them, and she gave the little food that she had to them. When her group that she was with in the beginning were all released, she was left behind, and the Hamas told her, tomorrow you're going home, you're next. That door never opened. Right now, she was supposed, her name was on the list for the deal that was being discussed since July. That's why, if you ask me why she's with this specific group of people, because the other 5 people were kidnapped from Nova Festival. Carmel was kidnapped from Kibbutz Be'eri. They only created this group because they started creating groups for releases. And because the military, the IDF, succeeded to rescue the Israeli Bedouin Fadi, to bring him safely home, they were just in a tunnel next to him. They were in the reach of your hand. And when they successfully rescued Fadi, then the terrorists decided, we're going to murder all the 6 and we're going to run away. And that's what happened.
Maayan,
But they weren't, these 6 kidnapped that were murdered, they didn't just been headshot. They were brutally murdered with their hand tied. They were beaten. They were thrown to the wall. They were, even in their last hours, they suffered horrendously. And for what? All you had to do is let them go. Everything could have been avoided. But I can promise you this, none of us gonna stop. Not even after the rest of the 101 hostages, murdered or alive, will come home. It's not gonna be over, because we cannot forget and we will never forgive. And the people that need to be put on trial, whatever trial you want to call it, they will be put to trial. Like the Jewish people found every single Nazi after Second War, even if it took them years to find them, it doesn't matter under what rock or in which hole they're hidden, we found them. So all the people that are involved in this, you will be found, and you have been found. So we will not stop
Maayan, thank you.
until all of us will have our family back home.
And thank you for joining us. And again, our condolences about your cousin and the news, but thank you for talking to us today and sharing her story.
Thank you so much for having me, Roger. Thank you.
It's Maayan Shavit, the cousin of Carmel Gat.